Hey Space Nation, today we have an interview with the astronaut. Her real name is Dani Trotman, and I'm excited, guys. Let's get started. So, hey Dani, how you doing?
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
We'll act like we haven't been talking for the last 6 minutes,
Sounds
right?
good.
So let's jump right into our interview here. So first things first, I want to know a little bit more about you. The cliche, I guess, question is, who is Dani? But you want to describe yourself. How old are you? If you're willing to share that information, where are you from? What do you do for a living? That kind of stuff. Would love to hear, a few sentences on that.
All right, well, I'm Dani Trotman. I'm 22 years old. I'm from Defuniak Springs, Florida. It's in the Florida Panhandle. A lot of people on the science community from Instagram probably know me from Science with My Cat, a website that teaches kids about science. My regular day job is I work with a VR entertainment company. I handle applications, interviews, employee processing, general management, that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool. And you are currently number 4 on the all-time leaderboard. So that's a big deal. I would consider that a big deal. I wish I was that high. So that's really cool, Dani. That's really interesting. So one of the things that I think is interesting to know about people, probably because I watch too much Netflix, but one of the things that I think is interesting to know is what people are, binging, or the most recent show they've watched. It doesn't have to be on Netflix, it could be anywhere, but what's the most recent show you've been watching or binging recently?
I've been obsessed with House MD lately.
Oh, yeah?
I'm almost done with it. But I love it. I love dark humor, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of
That's true. A lot of sarcasm, a little bit more heady humor. I kind of like that as well. Awesome.
Yeah. And how about
Cool.
you? What have you been watching lately?
Well, personally, I've been watching the new Netflix. I guess it's the add-on of Arrested Development,
Oh,
which is
okay.
fun for me. I used to like that kind of humor. It's a really good show. I like it. So I'm generally, though, I find any kind of sci-fi series and/or movie, and I'm kind of binging through those. This is a break, and I'm more in the comedy realm there. But all right, so a little bit more Navigator app related question I have is, when did you download the Navigator app? How long have you been playing?
So I actually I saw somebody that I follow on Instagram talk about it,
Okay.
and I joined the beta test in February. I thought it was a
Oh,
super cool idea. I was really interested to see how it went. So, like I said, I jumped on the beta test in February.
awesome. So you've been playing for a while. So why? So you mentioned how you thought it was a super cool idea. I'm wondering why you thought that. What got you so excited about it?
It's one of those things. I've always been interested in becoming an astronaut, but there's always been kind of like one path to get there. Go through NASA, that kind of thing. So with the way society's changing and the doors are opening, this is kind of another like step in everyone reaching the level where they can be an astronaut. You no longer have to follow that one path. And you see that in other places as well. There's citizen astronaut programs already. There's commercial crews, space tourism. It's just all opening up, and it's super cool. I'm so excited for it to happen.
Yeah, that's true. I think that democratizing space thing, which is definitely more Space Nation's route, is really interesting, and I love it too. I really do like how they're leveling the playing field, so to speak. If you weren't, I mean, back in the day, if you didn't even fit certain, body, specifications, height, weight, and all that, you couldn't even have a chance. So I think that's pretty impressive that they're doing that.
And then even then, there were people that could fly on the space shuttle. And then when we retired that and switched to Soyuz, there were people that were suddenly too tall. And
Yeah,
so now
exactly.
there's all kinds of requirements, and we're getting past that.
That's really cool to see, and I'm totally on board with that as well. Is there anything specifically about less of the app, but more about space travel, potentially being an astronaut, something like that, that really gets you excited? It's the type of thing that you get back into the app every day, and you want to get back into the app
I feel like one for the app in that column is no matter what I end up doing, it's going to make me a better person. It's going to make me a smarter person, more fit person, with all of those fitness challenges we have to go through. But then on the space side of it, getting away from the app, um, it's just kind of like, people pioneering the West. We're kind of expanding where people have been. We're expanding, even further than we've gone out before, with the moon. It's something that's opening doors to all of society. And
Yeah.
it's something that I feel like unites people.
Yeah.
We're all earthlings or the people of Earth, whatever you want to say, and that's changing.
Yeah. I think that's so true. The exploration side of things is really interesting because I get that feeling. It's something that feels like it matters and it will be in the history books kind of thing. You can be a part of, space exploration era, and I totally get that. That's super exciting, and I definitely echo the learning. I think this app probably, other than Duolingo, is the one app that's taught me the most of anything. You know what I
Right.
mean? And some of it's kind of specific. Like you can't really use, trying to think of some of the more specific things that you talk about with like, acronyms for, things inside the Soyuz capsule or whatever. I'm not going to use that in daily life, but it is something where I do feel a lot more intelligent personally and just understanding what's going on in the future of space travel. So I totally can echo that. Awesome. So back into the app a little bit more specifically, what is your favorite and least favorite mission in the app?
So there's two for favorite. When you're thinking about points wise, got to go with Lunch Anyone because you pass up on all those bonus points. And then my actual favorite is the quizzes.
Yeah.
Something a little bit more about me. Actually, I don't know if you've ever heard of the app Quiz Up. There's been a couple different times where I've been in the number one for my state and answering space trivia questions, but also the number one or in the top 10 for the United States.
Awesome.
Answering space questions. So I love the quizzes.
Do you do like quizzes like I've never done like those trivia things, but it sounds like you do trivia apps and things like that. Do you do that in like real life events as well, or is this just kind of a hobby for you with apps and things like that?
When I was in high school, I did academic team, and so that was always
it's
super
right in there.
Makes sense. I've been on a couple different televised academic tournaments. So
okay, awesome. So it's like right up your alley. The quiz is right up your alley. Totally get that. Lunch Anyone, definitely echo that sentiment, mostly because of points, but I actually find it fun too. I mean, you can just, even as it gets more difficult as well, it's just kind of easy to sit back, relax, and enjoy that mission. Love it. So least favorite, we kind of skimmed over that. What was that? What's your least favorite?
Least favorite right now, it's probably docking with the ISS, and not to not to hate on that mission or anything, but right now it's not working for me. Yeah. So that's the reason it's my least favorite. For some reason, it's not working on my phone right now.
Oh, crazy. I get that. And I know that, Space Nation, one of the reasons they're excited about kind of relaunching things in August timeframe is that there's going to be a lot less bugs because, I'm constantly emailing support and they're probably annoyed at this point. Okay, so we've already touched a little bit on this, but is there something specific that you feel like you've learned from the app? And then kind of a sister question to this is how do you feel like maybe some of the information that you've learned has translated into real life experience?
Kind of like what you talked about before, there's a lot of the quiz questions and stuff like that are awesome and they're cool, but I'm not going to use the acronyms and stuff in real life. However, when I'm looking at like articles and stuff, I feel like I know more and I understand more when I'm reading about space news or I'm reading documents from NASA, that kind of stuff. So maybe not in my everyday life, but in my space nerd life, I feel like a lot of the acronyms and the knowing what the different systems are has really improved my knowledge and my understanding there.
Totally understand. Were you able to watch the most recent SpaceX launch?
Oh no, I didn't get to watch the CRS-15. I didn't get to watch that.
That one I didn't watch it live. I was watched it later that day, but exactly what you said. I just knew a lot more about what was happening. You know what I mean? It was felt like a lot less jargon and a lot more like, okay, I can follow along with what they're saying. Totally understand that. Cool. So back out a little bit more again to space travel and thinking about potentially going to space. What is the most exciting and intimidating aspect of that for you? You think about space travel, there's a lot of like physical danger and stuff like that. It might be intimidating. What are the exciting and intimidating aspects of that for you?
One of the most exciting things to me is the fact that it's happening, that those doors have been opened up. 10 years ago, I don't feel like this problem or this program could have existed or taken off to the extent that it has. It just wasn't possible. So it's exciting that we're at that level. It's also exciting knowing that I'm going to be a part of the process. Right now I'm helping with bug fixes on Space Nation by working on it, or, being a part of the beta test and working on it now. And even if I don't end up becoming Space Nation's astronaut, I helped the groundbreaking program. I got to be a part of it. And the most intimidating thing is that it's happening. Nobody's done this before. And so we don't know what all of the problems could be. I mean, people have gone to space before, but never in this manner. They've never taken, everyday people, I guess, and trained them to be astronauts.
Yeah.
It's usually people that end up being astronauts have been test pilots or people that knew they were going to do this from the moment they went to college.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's kind of the paradigm there of exploration, right? It's fun that it's unknown, and it's also scary that it's unknown, and that's really cool. Totally on board with you on that. Yeah, and I would probably echo that sentiment. Like, we are in this exploration era, and where our hopes are so high. It's some of the things when bad stuff does go wrong, when a launch goes wrong or something like that, we kind of get our hopes get dashed a little bit. But I totally understand how just being able to know that we're a part of that, and actually, even if it's just a little bit, whatever we're doing just to help people understand more, feels like we're a part of something that's a little bit more important than, let's say, I don't know, just the normal 9 to 5 or something like that, right? So totally can echo that with you. All right, so the last question. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say maybe a lot of the, I guess, optimism comes from the fact that I'm young enough to where I don't really remember any of the space disasters. Obviously, I'm too young for Apollo to remember Apollo 1 happening and Challenger, but I was only 6 when Columbia went down, so I don't really remember that happening. And so in at least my memorable history, we haven't had a crazy space disaster.
It's inevitable, right? Something
Right.
bad is going to happen in the next 10 years, especially with all this push with private companies, and they have financial reasons to push hard on things as well. So with all the risks that will be taken over the next 10 years, I'm sure there's going to be bad things that happen. I just hope that our optimism and our excitement can overcome that, and not just, let's say, like kind of fall where we were for the last, I don't know, 20 or 30 years, or there wasn't much boundary pushing. So I'm excited for that as well. So the final question I have for you is someone that you are interested or looking forward to meeting on the leader that you've seen on the leaderboard. Because, right, we're constantly, if you're like ourselves, we're constantly looking at the leaderboard. We see these names constantly popping up. Maybe we're competing against them, and we're kind of like, that person beat me again. But at the same time, it's kind of an intriguing relationship where we don't actually get to meet them yet. Who is that person that you think you would like to meet and talk to in person and compete against, potentially in the top 100 competition?
It's got to be the number one guy, Yvonne. We've talked about the World Cup on Twitter. We've talked about our training before. He's a super nice guy, and I can't wait to meet him in person.
Yvonne, yeah, he is a nice guy. Same thing. Talk to me on Twitter. Very outgoing. But that guy, you can tell, is a competitor to the bone.
Oh, yeah.
So he's going to be a tough one if we're able to be in the top 100 competition competing. He's going to be a tough one to beat. I'm excited about that as well. Okay, so I know you have an Instagram channel. Is there something you want to say about that? Have some people follow it? Love to hear that.
Oh, yeah. If you want to check me out, I'm at Science with My Cat on Instagram. That's the Instagram for the website that I talked about, where I'm teaching kids about science, spreading all of the awesome things that are happening, the latest updates, all that. And then if you're more interested in following just my journey with Space Nation, I'm at The Astronaut on Instagram as well.
Great name. I like that one. Awesome. And I'm actually going to, try and edit out a little bit here so we can see those pages pop up, and I'll follow those as well. So thanks for taking some time.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, Space Nation, Aaron here. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dani Trotman. I know that I did. Don't forget to follow her on Instagram if you can. And of course, like, share, and subscribe just underneath my floating head. And keep working on those points, keep jumping up the ranks, and I will see you guys at Space Camp in Iceland.